Erwachen, awaken. There's some considerations on this uh, melding of Heidegger and Jakob Boehme into one inner perception or idea. I think that what one sees most of all here is something else, which is the contest between Leo Strauss, who says it's sensible to try to reverse these movements into the so-called historical consciousness, or the second cave, and try to return to Plato. And so, for instance, that he says, as a matter of methodological um, um, teaching to the students, that we should not regard Plato from this any standard which is now prevalent or which is now in power in the university. So we shouldn't say, so for instance, that Plato has breastfed to a very advanced age, and that we know by some theory of so-called Orthodox Freudian Zizek's authority, Lacan, the French psychoanalyst, that anyone who does that cannot do X, Y, Z, etc., or they have these characteristics, or we must consider these factors when we deal with such a person, and they are perverted in the following way, and so on. Instead, we have to supposedly go to the ground of Plato himself, Plato on the Platonic ground, and we must judge Plato as one giving a teaching concerning the truth and speaking from out of the truth. And only then, without any alien considerations whereby we could discredit him, as the ones just mentioned, then can we see whether Plato is speaking the truth or not. But so in the historicist view, in Heidegger's view, by contrast with this, so here's the very profound contestation, which is that this cannot happen because we bring with us something of our time which is unrepeatable, and which contains our history as ourselves, and therefore which didn't belong to Plato and didn't belong to any earlier age. And we can't help but to see anything in the past as within our own body of water. So I have to say I'm more on Heidegger's side because I just don't see how Strauss can get there. On the other hand, I should also mention Strauss was compelled, in order to teach at all, to present such a case, although I think he was more, he wanted to get to Plato. How so far he was genuinely open to Heidegger, who he regarded as a great philosopher, I don't know. The subject matter is even hard to approach. What are we even talking about here? So, insofar as the thinker is open to all kinds of islands on the ocean, which can then present him with their expectations, such that he can say this way of looking at things makes sense, and even admit to some things that he didn't know before, and learn things. How so far one is open is it's something like Luther's statement in one of his theses, where he says, even the most contrite cannot really know that they are repentant. It's beyond human judgment somehow. How so far are we actually open to learning something? How so far are we just stuck in some kind of plaque of the super sensual prurience of this region, where now with the quote unquote ear of the soul, you're hearing this. Well, so far as you would repeat something that you heard with your actual ears to yourself, let's say, you would be hearing it with the ear of the soul. So I agree then, after thinking about this problem with how to think of Jakob Boehme, which we would have to reach in the same way I was trying to just describe now, that Strauss was trying to reach Plato. With Heidegger, it's hard not to go on the side of saying we should study Heidegger further and try to learn more from Heidegger. So I agree with Dugan about that, because I think there really are things that if we see what Heidegger knew, then it becomes more and more cogent. You see the things that are to be learned in according to that approach. Whereas this big problem, which can be regarded as a formal theoretical problem, as it were, but it can also be regarded somehow just as ourselves approaching it with the greatest directness, or which is to say, in every way we can approach it, we approach it, and perhaps continuously in Alcine Anders' Setzung, we confront it as best we can. This question of whether we can genuinely reach the past and see what truths they were proposing, therefore is already there when we tried to ask about what Jakob Boehme did, what he affected. But I do see some clear parallels with Heidegger, in the sense that here we have 100 years since the Reformation. A certain ground was Boden soil was prepared, and then Jakob Boehme went to that place that was opened up by the Reformation, and he took the liberty and the possibility of transformation of thought that was open there. And likewise, Heidegger, with the collapse affected by Nietzsche and the